Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is another Game of Thrones video. We're gonna do a body paint while we talk about episode 3 of this season. What is it called, the episode?
The Long Night.
The Long Night, otherwise the Battle of Winterfell. So spoilers, if you haven't seen the episode yet, make sure you watch it, then come back and watch this. So I'm gonna do a body paint with this one. And it's gonna be the Godswood to kind of tie in the whole episode. So keep watching.
So the credits show more stuff this time.
What do you mean?
So you see the traveling.
Oh, the
south.
ice, yeah. The ice where the army of the dead is traveling.
Yeah. So they end up surrounding Winterfell, and you actually see more of the trenches, like doing all their stuff this time around. Because actually, in the episode, they used the trenches and everything they built around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you actually see the trenches in the credits. Yeah.
And then Dan and Dave wrote this episode, creators of the show, so you know it's going to be one of the better ones.
Dan, what are their last names?
D.B. Weiss and David Benioff.
Okay.
They're the guys that are going to do the new Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, that's cool.
But I
didn't know they were doing the Star Wars
trilogy. They created the show. And Miguel Sapochnik directed, my favorite director of Game of Thrones. So and then going into that long tracking shot that we get to start the episode, excellent. Where you see Sam fumbling around.
And then because the tracking at the end of last episode, right, was it the end of last episode? Yeah, they did a tracking shot then too, which ties it all together into the beginning.
A very little one, but yeah. Sure, yeah.
So it kind of connects them. They're
very much 2 episodes combined. So like you could watch it as a very cohesive film, which I really like that. And spoilers, I mean, we're already talking spoilers anyways, but at the end of the episode they do the inside look, and then they also did the making of episode. It's like 18 minutes long. I watched that as well. And Miguel Sapochnik talked about how this episode to him was a movie. It wasn't an episode.
Oh.
He put it in 3 parts, 3 separate films inside of a film in his terms. The beginning is a suspense film, the middle being a horror film, and then the finale, the 3rd act, being an action film. Which, as we go through this episode, because we're going to go beat by beat, not necessarily like super in depth into like every single little thing, but more like the big heavy stuff that we want to get into, like the stuff that's meaningful to us,
like the character storylines.
Yes,
because we're more attached to the characters than we are at the storyline at this point.
Characters over spectacle, even though the spectacle was incredible.
Exactly.
Last night. So we start the episode. Sam's all fumbling around, and I love John Bradley as Samwell Tarly. He is one of the best, and just his little machinations, the stuff he does with his hands and his facial quirks, he's awesome. I don't know how you feel about him.
I think he's adorable, and I think he plays the character really well because he has that gentle aspect to himself, and he's really down to earth, and he's very moral orientated, and he's got that book knowledge where we can kind of look at him and rely on his words. Because he wanted to be a maester,
and he wanted to fight in this episode,
and he clearly was setting himself up because he had something to fight for. He was fighting for Gilly and her child, which was named after him, and he just had that sense of duty to do that.
So we're following him around. We see Lyanna Mormont barking out orders, not speaking orders, barking out orders. It's like our first moment of hearing words, and then we stop hearing. We hear less and less. Like, that's just one of the big things in this episode that stood out to me was sound design, and we'll talk about more later in the library part of the episode, because that is the best part of the sound design in the entire episode. Then you see Tyrion grabbing, it looked like wine, and it was definitely wine. Later on in the episode, you see him drinking out of the little flask things. Then we go further. You see everything coming together. And then this stood out to me, especially in my rewatch. I don't know if it stood out to you. So many heroes were in the front lines.
Yeah, they were directly in harm's way.
Yes.
Like, there was nothing keeping them from the the dead coming up and just...
Except for the Dothraki.
Yeah. But the Dothraki were charged, they charged ahead.
Yes.
Without any, question.
But we did get my theory, which was Melisandre coming back.
Mm-hmm.
We saw her come in before the fight even started.
And we did talk about that in the last episode. We talked about what was going to go on with Davos and Melisandre, and if she was going to show up or if she was going to help, or because she talks about how that's where she was going to die.
She was going to come back.
Yeah.
So we get her to come back. She lights the Araks of the Dothraki, which I thought was awesome. I yelled out in our initial watching last night. Like, it got me so hard.
Yeah.
And then Ramin Djawadi's score just like ramped up, and it was, one of those hero scores. It sounded like it was going to be like this awesome moment, and then all of a sudden it fails miserably. Our dogs are trying to fight each other.
We're talking about a battle episode, and our dogs are about to have a battle.
She's trying to get the attention of the big one, and it ain't working. Well, maybe...
Oh.
And nothing.
Oh.
The score in this episode is awesome. Off the charts, too. I don't know how you feel about it.
The music in the episode definitely got my blood pumping, for sure. Alright, guys.
I think they're gonna go... Nope. And then we see Jon and Dany on the cliff.
Yep.
So they're watching cliffside with the dragons.
Because they have their part to play.
Yeah. Well, Jon's idea, which was just hang out and wait for
the Night King
to show up. And then that all goes to shit because we see the flaming rocks while they're going across the plains, and then they go into emptiness.
Yeah, and it just turns into basically night all over again.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing lighting the way.
And I only know this because of the preview for next week, but where the fuck was Ghost after that?
Yeah, how did he end up back with everyone? Like, where did he go? Did he just hide out? Like, he saw the dead and saw Jorah run away because that's who he was side by side with, and then he was like, nah, I'm gonna go hide in the woods while everyone battles it out. Like, okay? I mean...
Like, my only assumption is he just booked the F past the dead, because you never see him come back. That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was insane. And, like, I literally, during that scene when the Dothraki charged and we just start seeing the lights snuff out and go away, I literally was grabbing at my husband and I was just like, oh my god, the lights are going up, they're going up, they're dying.
And it was just emptiness. And then you get the giant wave of the dead, which was so well done, seeing them crawl on top of each other to get to the Unsullied, because they were ahead of everyone. And get to the Unsullied and a couple others, and it gives you that claustrophobic feel, which you'll feel later in the episode because of how the castle moves on itself, basically.
Yeah.
And it was so well done, and to see everyone's fear, and especially the Unsullied, because you get that shot of Grey Worm putting his helmet on, and Unsullied fear nothing. And you see him put his helmet on, and you see it in his eyes that he was just scared shitless.
Yeah, he tries to cover it up. That's why he's putting his helmet on. Like, he's like, no one can see that I'm scared. I put this helmet on, and it shows I'm ready to fight, but his eyes, you can see the terror. He's like, holy crap, it's happening. They're coming.
Yeah. And I didn't know this. I mean, we kind of gotten several glimpses of this, but I didn't know that White Walkers create blizzards.
Yeah, apparently they have control over the weather. They are, I mean, we've seen warlocks in the show. We've seen magic of sorts. I mean, Melisandre lights the Dothraki army swords on fire. I mean, why not control the weather? I mean, why not throw some X-Men shit in there and have Storm just appear?
Like I said, we've seen a little bit of it, like at Hardhome, when all of a sudden across the cliffs, it's cloudier and cloudier. Yeah. Whereas in this case, they literally created a snowstorm. And all of a sudden there's just clouds upon clouds upon clouds. And, that's just ridiculous. And in that moment, after all the clouds just take over and you see all of the dead fighting all of our heroes and everyone else, we get Ed saving Sam to ultimately die. And that was our first big character death in the episode, was Ed. And it made me sad, but we didn't stick on it long enough, and I think that was right. No one really cares about Ed other than, like, other than people that really watch the show, and certain characters that have been with him long enough, like John and Sam, and Sam being ultimately the reason why Ed dies.
Do you think that's going to affect the way Sam moves forward, knowing that Ed sacrificed himself to save him?
Doubtful, because of how many characters have sacrificed themselves for Sam along the way.
That's
and
fair.
There's just so many different characters that have died for the right reasons, and Ed's just one of them.
Okay.
But we get the trench lighting scene.
That was
following all of this stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
When you see Davos swinging those torches through the air
to get a hold of Danny's attention.
And they can't see him because there's the storm and they're flying around on their dragons and they can't see anything. And all of a sudden, you see Grey Worm with his face, and he just gets this look like, I have an idea, and he gets the Unsullied who have retreated and that are charging at the gates and everything, and he gets a couple of them and he just rounds them up, and they set up this little path. Melisandre, can we just address, she did not move with a sense of urgency. She just casually strolled out there like, all right, I'm gonna do my thing, it's fine. If that was me, I would have been like, crap, like, we gotta get this thing lit, like, they're coming, and just charging out there and just, like, have my hands on it and start chanting as needed, because she took her time to get out there, and as you could see, it took her a little while to get the mojo moving. And
I think a little bit of that was she was scared. Not the slow walking part, but definitely when she was doing her prayer,
right,
she started freaking out that it wasn't working, that the Lord of Light was not helping.
Exactly. If you were scared it wasn't gonna work, like, you should have gotten out there faster if it was gonna take longer. I mean,
she's an old lady.
But we don't see that.
Well, we already knew it.
We knew that, but no one else
knows.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you think that Grey Worm was going to die in that moment? Because personally, I thought he was going to find a way to light it himself. I did not guess that he was going to go grab Melisandre to bring her out. Because in that moment, he's like trying to figure out a way to do it. I, for one, thought he was going to like grab something and go light it himself, whether it was going to kill him or not. That's what I thought was going to happen. Because it got me for a second. I'm like, oh no, he's going to die. And I don't really care about Grey Worm. But the Red Woman does come in the clutch again.
And she, like you said, like you've mentioned to me before, she makes a comment about how they would have done better in battles if she was there.
Exactly. She was right. She knew what she was talking about. And I think that was a very important moment, to be completely honest.
It shows her worth.
Yes. And we get that awesome shot, an aerial view of the entire surrounding of Winterfell getting lit up, which is so cool. And in the behind the scenes video that I was talking about that they show how they lit it with like an 8-ton tanker of gasoline to get these trenches, and then they have to do it multiple times, and then the way they use wooden spikes and some iron spikes because they had to use it for 55 days straight is really cool. But once that happens, we got a little bit of Blackwater flashbacks with the Hound going on, because all of a sudden he starts freaking out like he did at Blackwater because all the fire.
The fire, and then he also makes the comment about, we're not going to win.
Well, I think that's a part of the freaking out thing.
It's a very serious case of PTSD.
From childhood.
From childhood, yes. Yeah. Because, like, he has no problem killing. Like, we've seen that. It's the fire that gets to him. And you'd think he'd be kind of used to, like, especially being around people who light their swords on fire, that he'd be okay with being in close proximity by now.
He's never really liked Beric.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because of the fire.
Because of the fire.
And then we move on to the Godswood. And then we get Theon trying to say sorry. Yeah. But Bran won't really let him. He's just saying that you're here, what you did brought us all here.
Yeah, like what you Granted,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, we're all here now where we're meant to be.
And not to jump ahead, but I think the crux for me, especially in my rewatch, is the Theon moments. They made me cry. Not this particular one, but the one later with him and Bran. It gets me because all he wants is acceptance. Mm-hmm. All he wants is forgiveness, and all he really wanted was to be a Stark. It's the only thing he's wanted since episode 1.
Yep, he considers them family because that's who he was raised with.
Mm-hmm. And that's who his father was. I mean, he says as much that his father died in King's Landing. And can we talk about what the hell is Bran doing?
Why is he warging? What is he watching? All this stuff is happening right at him. Uh-huh. And you just see his eyes white. What is he looking at?
Well, he goes into the Ravens, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
but what the hell?
Like, he went and he saw where the king was, the Night King was, and he never came back. Like, what else was he looking at?
Was that the purpose? Like, it's to get the Night King's attention.
But then the Night King was there, and he was
already
still...
knew it anyways. Yeah. I think that was so weird and out of place. Unless we find out it was for a different reason. I just think it's because Bran's a dick.
Why do you say that?
He's like, just peace out. I'm done. I already know what's going to happen. Let me watch the battle.
Like, he just wants to get literally a bird's eye view of everything that's going on.
I'm like a bird. I can't sing anymore because I don't want copyright issues. Yeah, I really do. It's bizarre. But, we get the shot of the Night King while he's in the air in the Ravens. And the Night King commands his army. He sticks out his hand. People thought he was sticking out his hand for the birds to try to get a hold of Bran. That's not what it was. All of a sudden he commands, then sticks his arm out, and then all of a sudden you see the whites start making body bridges over the trenches. Yep. So very clearly he's commanding. Like, he has control over everything. Whether it's telepathy, I'm assuming it's telepathy. Like, it's his thoughts command everything, more so than anything else. He doesn't need to speak. Even if there is a language, I don't know if there is a language.
Yeah, we've never heard him say anything.
Yeah. And then you get Jon chasing the Night King, because the Night King go on, just dragons on him on out.
Yeah.
That was a pun.
Dragons, yeah.
He's dragging him on out. No, Jon is so stupid. All of a sudden he sees the Night King and then just bolts. Like, you need to follow a little bit of order, even though Dany threw it off. Right. Because she saw the Dothraki in trouble.
And those were her people and she wanted to help them.
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't stand
But even still, like, you can't just go on and just, like, book it.
Yeah.
Then we get a little bit of the World War Z style stuff, where they're just, like, climbing on top of each other to get above the walls, which I thought was cool, but, you know, it's not that I really don't care about the zombies. And some of the stuff that was going on in the walls, it's kind of, what are those people called? Red shirts? People that are just meant there to die, so we see other people get the kill.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it was. And then I noticed this, especially in my second rewatch. There are so many moments right after that, once they started getting to the walls. It's characters saving each other. Whether it's Jaime saving Brienne then turning to saving Jaime. And then people saving... It was ridiculous how many people were saving each other. Rather than just killing the people around them.
Right. Because they were concerned. They're their friends. And
I agree.
The whole point of doing this battle is to save people.
I agree. I just thought it was kind of redundant to a point.
That it was just a lot of saving.
Yeah. Just, like, protect yourselves. Gendry almost dies. Jaime almost dies. Brienne almost dies. Like, it was getting to the point... I know they're all going to die. Well... They should have. But, like, it was getting to the point where it was getting so weird how it was turn. Zombie death, almost. But, whatever. We do get to see some Arya kicking ass action.
Yeah.
And Davos watching, like, oh crap.
Yeah, she had definitely put those skills and time in Bravos to use.
And she uses that Gendry staff that he made her.
Which detaches in the middle, which everyone was concerned they didn't know how it worked.
Yeah, and it worked really well because when she got into, when she's in close quarters, she's able to split it apart and then potentially put it back together, but she never got a chance to. And Barrick is trying to, get a hold of the Hound's attention, and the Hound's still, freaking out. But then Barrick tells him about Arya and how she needs help, and then all of a sudden the Hound gets his hero moment.
Yep.
Stands up, I gotta go save the girl. He never says that, but you see it in his eyes, like he was just going. And then we get to your lady, Lyanna Mormont.
Her epic savior, I'm gonna make a difference moment.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she is so small and this giant comes in and she doesn't move, she's not phased, she just looks it head on and is like, I'm ready for you.
Well, she screams and goes at him.
Yeah. She's like, I'm ready for you, and
she had a Gren moment, in Watchers on the Wall when the giant is trying to come through in the tunnels and they start chanting their vows and they try to stop the giant and they ended up doing what they end up dying.
Mm-hmm.
She had that moment, and it was really nice that Lyanna goes out like a badass, and now there's a story, and she has a title beyond just Lady Lyanna Mormont. She's Lady Lyanna Mormont, the Giant Slayer.
Yep.
She will forever be known that in the history of Bear Island and throughout the Seven Kingdoms. So it's good that she got that too, because if she's not gonna, take the Iron Throne, better go out like a badass.
Better, yeah. And she went out like a badass. She did not let anything stop her.
Mm-hmm. And then we get some beautiful shots of the dragons above the clouds. What did you think of that stuff?
I think that was money well spent in their budget for that, because it
good CGI.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference, because then not only do we get to see the dragons in action, we get to see them in action against each other.
Yeah, dragon on dragon on dragon action.
Yes.
It was awesome. I love that stuff.
I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
Their editing team did an amazing job.
They really did. And for a person who thinks most of the stuff when they're on dragons looks ridiculous, they did an excellent job this time around. So I'm glad they took their time to finally use the dragons in this sense, because we never would have gotten it otherwise. Let's be real.
Yeah, because no one else has a dragon.
Mm-hmm. And once all this dragon stuff is going down, we get to Arya after she's got a concussion, I'm assuming, because she gets slammed into that wall.
Yeah.
And she's running for her life, and then she ends up in the library inside of the Castle of the Winterfell, which this scene is my favorite scene in the episode.
I think leading up to the library scene, it's really important to notice how strong and brave a face Arya puts on, but then she gets her head hit, and she suddenly realized, shit,
she's vulnerable.
I'm vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They can get me now. I'm off my game.
Yeah.
And then she just starts running.
Yeah. She wasn't just that little assassin anymore. She was also a little girl in the moment too.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved everything about the library scene. I loved the sound design. I watched, like I said, that inside the episode, and apparently, so all the zombies had their choreographed patterns that they had to walk, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Miguel and Maisie Williams, they just decide, have your run through. Maisie, all you have to do, don't be seen. So she goes around trying not to be seen. That was the whole run through, and then it ended up being in the episode.
That's really cool.
It was really cool to see, and it's awesome. It all comes together so well. There's scenes where it's so quiet, where then you hear that drop of blood
coming off of her face when she hides under the table. Yeah.
It hits the floor, and then that creepy zombie just doesn't see her. It's good stuff. That was like Batman level stuff.
It's because she is a little Batman.
She is the Batman of Westeros. Yes. And then we get that another hero moment, a moment that really worked for me. Barrick sacrificing himself.
these two, them coming, the Hound and Barrick coming up to help Arya, two people that were on her list that she wanted to kill, end up basically doing the exact opposite. They come to save her.
Yeah. It was great.
It's a very good, like you said, a hero moment.
And Barrick getting stabbed as many times as possible, and he kind of does a repeat of Hodor, blocks himself with the whites, so the more important person, the little Stark, so to speak, gets to go on. And I thought that was such a great mixture of not just that hero Jesus like figure shot where you see in a lot of movies and stuff,
right?
But also of it's a character moment, and it's a deserved moment for him, especially after all these seasons with him, that where we don't get a lot of episodes, but we've had a long time with the character, and all these times he's come back, he's finally served his purpose. His whole purpose was to make sure this person can fulfill her duty. So
right.
It was a really cool moment, and obviously that duty being something we'll talk about later, little foreshadowing. I loved it. I mean, I love most of this episode, so it's not a surprise. So, excuse me. And then we get Melisandre coming into the room after Barrick dies.
And she states that he served his purpose.
Yes. But we also get the, what do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
And it gives Arya that pep talk that she needed. Mm-hmm. And it also gives us a foreshadow moment of the brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes. Which, honestly, I knew it from that second what was going to happen. Did you?
I knew she was going to come back. I didn't know that she would kill the Night King. But I knew she was going to do something. I figured she'd end up at the Godswood doing something that would help. I didn't know that the exact thing. I knew she would show up.
It just seemed like such a easy moment to piece together, yeah. Really.
And it was an easy moment that was set up to be forgotten.
Yes, because they put enough time in between.
Yeah.
Arya booking it out of there. But we get back to the Godswood, and Theon pulling his best Legolas, using his arrows, and he's just going to town and
making every shot count, like he said.
Yes, it was good stuff. We do get the Night King flying over Winterfell, and he blasts a giant hole in the wall.
Yes, he does. Which
was an awesome scene. I wouldn't put it up with the other hole blasting in
Eastwatch.
Yes. But it was still really cool, and then you start seeing just more whites just flooding in. It's like, oh my god. Personally, at that moment, I didn't know if they could win.
Really?
Because it was nonstop.
Yeah, it was so, like, they don't have a stamina limit.
Yeah.
Like people do. Like, after a while, your body's going to be tired.
And we see that several times. You see Grey Worm's just gassed, Jaime's gassed, Brienne gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was getting a little brutal. But we get back to some dragon fighting too. And then all of a sudden, the Night King falls. Jon falls. And then we get what I thought was going to be something really special. The Dracarys on the Night King.
Yeah.
I thought something cooler was going to happen, to be completely honest. Not just him being able to be...
To survive it?
Yes. I thought, like, he was going to put up, like, some, like, I don't know, some frost shit. To be completely serious. Or him to just be able to stand there with the spear in his hand, which he didn't. He picked it up afterwards. Because I kind of wanted him to take down Drogon with the spear in that moment. Like, Drogon's Dracarysing him, and then he just throws it right through.
I was kind of half expecting to have one of the, basically a glimpse back at what happened at the beginning of the episode. We watched all of the flames on the swords snuff out, and all of a sudden you see Drogon Dracarys, and then all of a sudden...
Not being able to do it.
I was expecting it to hit him, And then all of a sudden, around the Night King, it would just start to snuff out, and out it would go, and he would just still be standing there.
Yeah.
Rather than his face through the flames, like, ha ha ha.
I guess that's exactly what I was thinking, too.
Yeah.
And he smiled, which, that was weird.
It was, yeah.
Very strange.
But in a sense, this is what the Night King wants. Like, he's having fun.
Yes, but he's not, so that means he's not the personification of death. He's got an
He's got an ultimatum.
He's got a character, not an ultimatum.
Oh.
He like, there's something to him. He's not
Right.
just the Grim Reaper coming through and taking out people, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He has a personality. So if he's smiling, he's trying to have fun here. And then you ultimately get the cheater of the year moment, I guess. He freaking raises the dead on John as John's chasing him.
It's him, like, laughing in John's face, being like, remember Heart Home? Suck it!
Yeah, he literally does the same thing. He's like, I don't even want to fight you. Have fun. Peace out.
I got other shit to do.
Yeah. That was just awful. And you get what I kind of want more of, to be honest, was you got Leanna and Ed eventually having blue eyes in that scene because they were raised from the dead.
When that scene happened and we see Ed's eyes go blue, in my head I just kept repeating, watch out, he's got blue eyes! He's never had blue eyes!
I would have been sad if Ed got all of a sudden back inside of Winterfell and like Sam would have had to face him. That would have broke my heart.
That would not have been a fun day.
We also get shots of the crypt where all the old Starks coming back from the dead. Oh my god.
He was not happy about that scene. Like, people kept making comments like, why would you put him in the crypt if they can raise the dead? I was like, maybe he can't raise the dead because they're all trapped in, rock and...
giant iron casts.
Yeah.
But no. I don't... Would you like to just move on past the crypt? Because I didn't even like the idea of it. And then when it happened, I kind of rolled my eyes.
I mean, it's still an important scene. Like, we see... Tyrion get his action of the episode, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
in a sense,
yeah. And he's actually involved in the battle now. Like, there's something for him to do to, fend off these people in the crypt. So he's not so excluded from the battle that's going on outside.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it, in a sense, I feel bad. I feel like Tyrion kind of got his little hero moment.
He did a little. We get back outside and Drogon is getting butt effed by all the whites.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. That if there was a moment where I thought the dragon was dying, that was definitely the moment.
Yeah.
Like, he survived all of that. All of a sudden, he's just getting so warmed. Even our dog thinks he was gonna die.
He was more concerned about Ghost.
Yeah. But like, he was, and I thought Dany was almost dead too for a second.
Oh, I thought she was gonna die for sure.
Really?
Yeah, when they started showing that scene and Jorah was helping her out, like, I was like, she's done. This is how she goes out.
Jorah came soon as she falls off at Drogon. Right. And from that moment on, I knew my favorite character in the entire series was dead.
Yeah, he started crying.
Yeah. It broke me. I knew. I didn't cry then. It was a little bit later. But, yeah. Jorah, oh man, we'll talk about it later, I guess. Not too much later, because there's not even that much left. And then we get another classic Jon thing with Miguel Sapochnik episodes. You had it in, actually not just Miguel Sapochnik episodes, you had it in The Watchers on the Wall where Jon's just walking through, taking down people, and we're just following him as other things are happening. Mm-hmm. You get it in Hard Home where he does the same thing, and then you also get it in The Battle of the Bastards where you get all this stuff surrounding, where you feel that you're just seeing the battle through Jon's eyes, essentially. Right. And I thought this moment in particular, out of all of them, shows why Jon is the most important and actually best leader amongst everyone, because he's seen all of his friends dying. he sees his best friend dying in Sam. Like, and Sam's just like laying there, John, help me. He doesn't say it, but he's just looking at him.
Those eyes, yeah. That's what gets
it was defeat, and like, so everyone's just almost collapsing to the ground because they're just fighting off everything. And John's just, he's got to do what he's got to do, and he's making the right decision in his mind, and he is making the right decision. He was going to save Bran. Like, that's what he had to do. And he never gets there.
No.
But that moment I loved in particular. But we're going to go back down to the crypts for a second, because we get some Sansa and Tyrion moments. One from earlier where I love the two talking about their marriage, and Sansa telling him that he was the best husband. You're the best of all of them.
And he said that's shocking.
No,
pretty much.
That's a terrible thought.
Yeah.
I love the two characters together, and I think we're getting to a moment, or getting to a time in their lives where I think Tyrion might actually like her more than just as a friend.
Right.
I think he definitely respects her, and he respected her then, but he respects her more because he knows everything that she's done for everyone, and then all the stuff that she's been through too.
Right. And she's been through a lot.
Yeah. But it all culminates in this moment where the score hits, and oh my god, it's just so beautiful. And this is where I started tearing up, and then it goes on just straight up down my face, was when Sansa and Tyrion start holding hands.
Oh, right. Yep.
And then they try to work their way out, but we end up getting out of the crypts because they're still alive. Jon's chased by Viserion, basically destroyed Viserion. He's got like half of his face ripped out.
Yep. From the battle from earlier.
You got everyone surrounded by all the whites. Jorah's taken repeated blows. He puts his sword in the ground to get back up. Like, he's just taking hit after hit after hit for Dany. And then we get to the Godswood. And Theon is protecting Bran. And in my rewatch, this hit me harder than it did the first time. Theon just doing anything he can. He had no more arrows left. He was using his bow. He grabbed a staff from the ground. He was doing anything he could for Bran. And then Bran gives him his reassurance that he's always needed.
Right.
Saying, Theon, you're a good man.
And he kind of does it earlier when he mentions, like, everything that we've done has brought us to this moment. So it wasn't going to matter what Theon did in the past. What mattered what he did in that moment. Which I thought was a very powerful thing to say from Bran's point of view.
And when he says that you're a good man, Alfie Allen does such a great job in still portraying that thing in Theon, that there is still a little bit of reek. It's not all Theon back yet. And it's hard for him to portray emotions. And you see it in Theon. He starts shaking, and he has one tear coming down in his eye, just right down his cheek.
Right.
And he turns and he charges at the Night King.
And he knows that he's not going to make a difference.
No, but he's doing everything he can, man.
Yeah.
And it is such a beautiful thing to see. Such a great character moment. And ultimately, it is the perfect death for him. Because he betrayed Bran. He betrayed the family. And doing that for Bran is such a special thing, I think. But then we get to your holy shit moment, so you can bring us to the falling of the Night King. I will let you take this.
You want me to take it? Honestly, when we see Theon just get jabbed through, and the Night King's like, suck it, like, you don't faze me, you mean nothing to me. And then, out of nowhere, so he's going to Bran, and he's reaching for his little ice sword, And all of a sudden, you just hear, ah! From Arya in the background, and she's jumping at him, and he just, like, turns, and he's like, what? Like, you mean nothing. You are nothing. And she pulls out that blade, the Viserion steel.
Valerian steel.
Why did I say Viserion? I can't talk today.
You saw Endgame today.
I did see Endgame.
She cried at Endgame. Didn't cry at this episode.
No, I cried at Endgame. Anyway, so Arya drops her little dagger.
Yeah, which is the dagger that crippled Bran, or was attempting to kill Bran too.
Yes.
So that was kind of.
And she drops it, and she kind of gets this smirk on her face. And the Night King gets like, in this split second, like, what? And she catches it and just jabs him through.
In the same spot that he was created with.
Yes, in the same spot that he was created by
Children of the Forest.
The Children of the Forest, right. And which he just crumbles to the ground. Like, I wasn't even expecting them to win all in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was expecting this to drag out to like at least the first half of next episode.
I'm not the biggest fan of Arya being the one, because I don't know why she would be the hero of this whole thing, but that's neither here nor there. I love it in the episode, and then the idea of the whole story. It's, you know, I didn't even like zombies in the first place, so I guess I don't even have to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone dies. All the whites die. All the White Walkers die, and everyone gets released from basically their agony.
Yeah.
And
they finally can take a breath.
And my man, Jorah Mormont,
You getting teary-eyed?
finally dies.
He finally can rest. But he goes out like the way he wanted to go out.
Yes, I will admit it. It's the way he would always want to go out, protecting the woman he loves. And, which I thought was interesting, especially I noticed in my second time watching it, when Drogon comes to comfort Dany. I think it's a little bit as he's coming because he's sad about Jorah too, because Jorah has been there since he's been born.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always been around. So I think there's a little bit of that. That's my mom's friend. And that's my friend. Like, he's never done anything to harm him.
Yeah, he's always been there to help.
So thought that was very interesting. And it was very sad. I'll put it that way. It hurts me. He was my favorite character since I started watching the show. And to see him go out, and at least it's in the way he wanted to, but see him go out, it's tough.
Seeing Amelia Clark's Instagram picture with him today made my day. I was like, oh. I mean, they've been together since the beginning of the show.
I love Ian Glenn, so hats off to Ian Glenn to finally going out. He went out like a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you well in the afterlife, Jorah.
Whether you believe in the old gods, the new, the faceless god, the
Whatever
Lord of Light, like, whatever, I hope you were rewarded well.
And then to end the episode, Melisandre takes a stroll outside, starts taking off her clothes.
No, she doesn't take off her clothes.
She took off her cloak. Yeah, she did.
She took off her necklace.
No, she took off her cloak. She took off some clothes.
Did she?
Then took off her necklace.
Shows how much
Yeah, you didn't watch close enough, apparently.
I was more concerned about other stuff that was happening.
There was nothing going on except that moment, but whatever. She started taking off her cloak, some other stuff, takes off her necklace, and then continues on walking until she dies.
And she just disintegrates into dust.
No, there's a body still there.
She basically blows away.
Kind of, but there's a body there. With old age, she finally allowed herself to die. I think that's more or less what it was. Not that she did serve her purpose in her eyes too, but I do think there was that. Is that she's like, I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Beyond just knowing that she served her purpose. So in totality, as far as deaths that we know of, and deaths that we care about, I guess, we had Ed, we had Liana, we had Barrick, then we had Theon, then we had Jorah, then we had Melisandre. And up until reading articles and watching the trailer for next week's episode, I would have put Ghost in there.
And one of the dragons. A lot of people think that one of the dragons died. But I'm pretty sure we see both of them in the trailer for next week.
We do see both of them in the trailer next week. So somehow they live.
Exactly. So what do you think, since we've finished the whole battle, Night King's dead, what do you think's in store for next week's episode?
I don't think we're going to get a lot more King's Landing, obviously. We haven't had any in 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to get, I think it's another like hour and 10 episode for time.
Oh, really?
So I think we're going to get about like a 50-50 split of Cersei and the Golden Company stuff.
Which they don't have their elephants, which is sad. Maybe
some Euron stuff. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I don't know really what's like. 'Cause I think the whole sole purpose of what we just did was to make sure Dany's not unstoppable.
That's fair, because like half of her army is gone.
More than half.
Well, more, yeah. I mean, all of her Dothraki is gone pretty much.
Pretty much. Most of the Unsullied would seem like they're gone. Mm-hmm. You would assume a good chunk of the Northmen are gone.
Yep. Not all of them made it back to inside the gate when they were retreating.
And 2 very, very injured dragons, at the very least.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting to see where we're going. It's going to be a lot of planning, I think, in this episode. And then, like I said, Miguel Sapochnik is directing that 5th episode, which I think is another battle episode. Mm-hmm. So, I think we're going to get a little bit of on land and on water, because of all the ships and everything. Yep. So I think that'll be fun. Overall, I think this was a great episode. There are things that I didn't like, but there are things that I loved. So that outweighs that. There's really only a couple things that I would nitpick about, but that's in any episode I would. Except for last week's and a couple others that I don't nitpick at all. It was awesome. I've only cried in 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. This is 2 consecutive episodes that I did. And it was the most engaging episode of television I've ever watched. It's the most nervous I've ever been watching television I've ever watched. You saw me. I was at the edge of my seat most of the time.
You were freaking out. You were telling me not to touch you. You were
I was
all over the place.
It was hard on me. I would have, if I'm grading it, it's at the very least an A-, if not more. Miguel Sapochnik hits it out of the park. Everything on his end was phenomenal. I think he worked with the best of what he got, and I'm not blaming him for the Crypt stuff or the Arya stuff, because Dan and Dave said that they've known about Arya killing the Night King for the last 3 years. So I wonder if that's a George thing or a their thing.
Well, you have to read the books and find out.
We're never getting the books. So.
That's fair. So those are our thoughts, our opinions, the way we saw the episode. Drop some comments down below and let us know what you thought about the episode. Maybe we can talk about some of the theories from the comments in our next video. This is the body paint I did. Like I said, I was inspired by the Godswood, since that was the main location in this week's episode. So we will see you next week. Remember to like and subscribe.